Welcome to Grisora Live. We're here to help small business owners that are feeling trapped get unstuck and have more freedom in their business. If you're feeling like you're in a wrestling match with Mike Tyson and your business is Mike Tyson and it's got you pinned and it's currently biting your ear off, you need to be listening today. We're here to help you so that rather than being trapped in the cage, you can tag team us. We're going to step in and help you so that you can flip the business around, turn it around so it's actually fighting for you instead of fighting against you all day. Brett, what are we talking about today?
Well, exactly that introduction. It's that most business owners are really building the cage around themselves instead of building a business that gives them freedom. Um, I I heard some stats yesterday about how 90 I don't remember exactly what it was. It was like 98% of businesses never break $1 million in revenue
Whoa,
ever.
you said 98%?
I think it might not be quite that high, but it
That's
was mid to high
insane.
90s
That's
from
insane.
from what I heard, and so that means it's like 1 in 3,000 businesses breaks 10 million in revenue.
Wow.
Like those who truly achieve that empire, that kingdom, that those amazing levels of freedom, they're so few because only
Well,
because only
but
like
I'm going to call you out because that is not freedom. I was just talking to a guy earlier this week. He's got a buddy, and that buddy literally has scaled his business to, I think it was somewhere around $8 million. And the guy's, so my friend's friend, that guy, $8 million a year business, he literally has his ear glued to the phone 24/7. He almost isn't sleeping, has no time for family, has no time for any of his hobbies because he's like, I gotta go, 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 go. And he's 10x'd himself into putting all his time in the business. And he forgot that there's more than one priority. And so he built a super cage
he's got
because
the cage. Yeah.
yeah, he built the super cage because it's the $8 million edition cage,
Well,
not
that
just
and that, that's why
not
that's
the
why I say break
300,000.
10 million.
Yeah.
Because it's extremely rare for a business owner to break $10 million in revenue while they're still in the cage.
I see what you're saying.
You've
Yeah.
got to get out of, like, in order to break through that $10 million, you have to get out of the cage. Like it almost cannot be done while you're still in the cage. But yes, you can grow grow close to $10 million in that cage, but to break out of it is and you have to break out of it to break that point. And so what what we really want to do is talk about that. And I'm lost right now, so go ahead
Well,
and
what's
keep
really
talking.
cool from my perspective, sorry to derail you, but
Yeah.
like it take most businesses that hit 10 million, they're not stuck in that cage anymore, you're saying. But what's really cool that most people don't realize is you can break out of that cage way before then. You can break out of that cage when your business is still doing 5 and 6 figures a year if you have the right strategies and the right tool, the right mindset, the right like you have to get the formula right. It's just like baking a cake. You can't walk into the kitchen and be like, oh, I'm going to make a cake, and you just start getting random ingredients out. Oh, here's the cayenne, I like cayenne. Oh, here's some salsa, I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to grab some prunes and put that. It doesn't work. And if you don't know the right formula, if you don't know the right recipe, you're literally going to make a disaster, just like I did in my life until I turned it around. And I've seen so many people who bake that same disaster. They pull it out of the oven one day, and that's the moment of truth for them where they're like, wait, what in the world have I been doing all these years? But thankfully, you kind of guided me along my journey to get out of that cage, and now we're giving that to other people. But I think we were going to talk one item that I wanted to talk about anyway is this idea of people thinking that they have to have the full map. Like when you're baking a cake, you have to know every line item, you know every ingredient, you know every piece to it. But when you're first getting transitioning from where you're stuck to not stuck, you don't have to know every detail, right?
Well, but even like I'm gonna push back on you. Like even when you're baking a cake, you don't need to know every single item. You
Right.
just need to follow the recipe.
You need to know the next step that you're taking right
Just the
then.
next step. That's all you
Yeah.
have to worry about. What's the next ingredient? Okay, I put the eggs in. Okay, I put in the sugar. Like, and but it's not just the ingredients with many things. To continue with the baking analogy, it's also the sequence that you do things in.
Yeah.
a lot of things, if you don't cream the ingredients first, flour goes in last, and you mix that as little as possible for cookies, for example, you're going to end up with a bunch of rock hard, not very fun to eat cookies compared to the soft gooey ones that you can get if you do things in the right sequence. So it's not only getting the right ingredients in the right amount, it's getting them put together in the right order.
Yeah, you wanna mess yourself up bad, you just go ahead and mix the milk and the baking powder or baking soda first, and then see whatever you're making, see how it turns out, right?
Right.
Syntax matters. I once heard a guy, and he was gonna go in and train the US military on how to shoot more efficiently, right? And they're like, "Well, what awards have you won?" He's like, "I don't need them." And they're like, Wait, do you shoot?" He's like, This is what I need. I need you to give me the top however many people that are the best at shooting. We're talking the very best in the military. I want them. I want to study them for a little bit. Then once I've studied them, I'm going to be able to train everyone else how to do this." And he did. He said, "Okay, step one, okay, they all pull the gun out of their holster first. Then they pull the gun up and then they fire." And that's an oversimplification, but he says there were a few instances while he's training where they fired before they pulled the gun out of their holster. That is not a happy experience, especially when you hit your foot and you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. So that syntax, the order of operations matters so much.
Yeah. And so this is really about some of the mindsets that keep people stuck. So one of the biggest ones that I know I get stuck in, even today, I have to catch myself periodically to get out of it, is if I want it done right, I have to do it myself.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
And and the another issue that I struggle with is you probably heard about how important it is to be results oriented. There's those results oriented people, and I've been accused of being that, and at one point take it as a badge of pride that I'm, very results oriented.
Mhm.
And I mean, clearly anybody who's doing anything has, even in very vague terms, they have a goal, something that they're working towards. Um, but a better badge to wear is the badge of somebody who focuses on the inputs. What are
Mm,
you doing day by day? Not looking to or waiting for the result to prove that you're on the right track. It's what are you doing on a day-to-day basis that moves forward, and what are you doing to evaluate and iterate as you go? So you're not just putting the same inputs in over and over again expecting to get to the result, but you're adapting and changing and adjusting as you see how the steps that you take are moving you forward or whether they're not.
yeah, 100%. And and I have a good friend who's running a successful YouTube channel and, hundreds of thousands, 100,000 plus followers. Very, very good job on it. Took they'd been on YouTube for years before they reached their success stage, but it wasn't until they got serious about creating content and came up with a strategy that they personally thought would work. It wasn't something that they were like, "Oh, I'm going to try and follow the algorithm to get the right results." They said, "No, I've got a vision. I'm going to chase that vision." And then they took a lot of action to do what they thought would work. And they created it all, scheduled it all, and then went out and it literally launched them to stardom. And it wasn't because they were following the results. It was because they were like, "Well, here's the vision that I'm trying to achieve. Here's the actions I know I can take." And they just took those actions and then let the results happen and discover what happened from them taking the action.
Yeah, and so we pair that back to, if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. This is the main mentality that keeps people stuck in that cage. Gets them to build a cage, and that, um, just taking initiative, because I mean only like 7% of the population are actual business owners in this country, and again, so few of those ever break $1 million in revenue. And so the number of people out there that have such huge opportunity to do more, if we can help them shift their mindset to one that will allow them to continue putting the inputs in, but also adjust as they go. So instead of building a cage, they're building freedom.
Yeah.
and so I wanted to make that connection there, the mindsets are really your core, that you have to have correct about your actions in order for your actions to yield the results that you want them to yield.
And the other kicker that goes right along with that is anytime you are trying something new, it's often good to start with baby steps so you're not overwhelming yourself. Like I you don't need to try and run the whole race the first time. If all you can do is walk, start walking.
Yeah. Well, and to use that example for me, I am not a fan of doing anything related to social media.
Mhm.
Like I like to I watch the occasional YouTube, but to participate in social media, to worry like I didn't have until earlier this year, I didn't have an Instagram, Facebook, X as it's now called, or LinkedIn. Like I didn't have any of that,
Uh-huh.
and even what I have, I've barely done anything with because I hate it. Like I just haven't found the enjoyment out of it that it seems so many other people have. And
Mm.
so doing this live stream is one of those, as you say, for me, it's those baby steps. This is like, okay, I can slowly start to get into it. I slowly start to get more comfortable with what this is and what this means, and eventually we'll be able to craft a strategy, something that works for me. Um, because I must be, really weird compared to a lot of people out there, because I just don't care to engage with any of it.
Huh. Very interesting. But what you're saying though is again, you had a, in this scenario perhaps viewed as a weak point and you're not trying to jump in and do all of them at once. You're like, here's the one action I can take. I'm going to take that action, then going to continue to improve on it and scale and grow as I can.
Yeah, well, because I mean, even like the very first time we did it, I had been doing a little bit on some, just forcing myself to do it, and gotten somewhat comfortable. But to do this kind of type of format, it was way more nerve wracking the first time several weeks ago when we started than it is today. And
Right? Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
that
30
is
minutes live, no script. We
right.
don't know what we're going to say exactly. And we're going to come on and talk to each other in front of the world. Yeah, that could be a little nerve wracking.
So I mean, and you've been doing it, something similar for a year, um, and so I have been able to borrow some of your confidence in that, and that is another one of the great things that can happen when you do have somebody else to work with, that you can see the example and learn what works, and start to believe that it's possible.
Hmm.
Um, because like as I do pay more attention to now about it, there's so many people that talk about how you have to have a personal brand if you want to be successful. I grew a $20 million a year business empire without having any kind of personal brand or social media presence at all,
Or business cards. No one
or
could even get
business
hold of
card.
this
Like, oh,
guy.
I did have business cards at the start, but then I got rid of them. About 5 years in, I got rid of them, and
Yeah.
my I had employees with business cards, but I didn't have any. I didn't want them.
Yeah. He was the great unknown. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew what he was doing. And no, like nobody needed to. But you were able to build that business without a personal brand. But it's because you knew that it wasn't necessary. So you cut it out. Right.
Right? Yeah, and I focused on the things that I really, really enjoyed doing, which is working on my business, um, strengthening it, putting systems in place, leading and coaching people, and looking for that those levers, that lever that's going to give me the biggest, bang for my efforts. And whether that's whether it was getting more leads, whether it was doing our follow-ups better, whether it was a manufacturing process, it didn't really matter where it was at. I got really good at finding that lever, and that's what I still to this day really enjoy doing. So
Mhm.
this type of format is something new for me, and and a lot of people talk about following your passion. I didn't want to do this, but the more and more I do it, the more excited I get about it. And so
Yeah.
I don't think I think that concept of follow your passion, I mean, there's probably a place for it, but for me it's more, as you take that step, as you create motion, you create motivation, you can create passion around something that you have no interest in. So like this is kind of my springboard to get into the rest of social media, because I do believe there's a place for personal brand, And because I really truly want to have an impact on many lives, and if nobody knows who I am, then I can't have that impact.
Right. So, but you're not on social media for the passion of social media. You're saying my passion is I see all of these people out here that could use a hand. And you figured it out. You literally had a $20 million business and you didn't have to go into work. Nobody knew who you
Right.
were. You didn't have business cards. You made the business structure in the way that you could live with freedom. And you're like, this is too good to keep to myself. I'm going to share it with the world. And so sometimes as you're chasing your passion, you have to come in and do these other difficult things along the way. And like you're saying, eventually hate grows to comfort, comfort grows to perhaps love. And maybe in a few years you'll be like, oh, I can't get off social media now. I don't know. Maybe you'll get there. But either way, it's not because you're chasing being on social media. It's because you have your big vision and you're chasing and doing what it takes to help people and have that big vision become a reality.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good analysis of it.
And the same thing is true. That's the same principle that so many business owners have. They wake up in the morning and they literally have this giant board of, well, I could work on this item, I could work on this item, I could work on this item, I could do this. Should I do this? Oh, I need to do that. Oh, this is burning down. Which one of all these do the and if you just follow your passion, the guy's going to be out there. I don't know. He's going to be out there golfing all day because that's his passion. He's going to be out there surfing all day because that's his passion. He's going to be out water skiing because that it's not that passion. It's the big vision. What's that big thing you're chasing? Then let's boil it back. And if I'm standing here and the board is all over the place, but I know that my big vision sits right there, I've got to look and see which of these items are between me and my big vision. All the stuff I can push off to the side don't matter. And then I chase the ones that are going to stand between me and my vision.
Well, and that when an entrepreneur gets to that point to where they recognize and be more than just knowing in the back of their head, but when they truly recognize they could go work on any different thing, that's a big milestone. The one of the issues I see is a lot of people that I hope to help, they're not even to that level.
Mm.
They're stuck at a level to where what's the next fire? Where's
Oh, yeah.
what's smokiest? And they feel stuck because that's what they have to go after. Whatever's screaming the loudest is what they react to, and instead of being proactive, they're in a reactive firefighter mode all the time. um, and they get used to thinking that chaos is normal because most other business owners they know are in the exact same boat.
Yeah.
um, and they think it's some matter of luck or fate or whatever that allows somebody to progress beyond that level of chaos, but it's not. It's really about the mindset that you bring to it, coupled with enough time that allows someone to transition from that chaos to a level of freedom, which for most business owners I talk to, that's why they started their business in the first place. They want to help people and they want to create personal freedom for themselves and their families.
You keyed in on something there that buzzed in my brain and I got to get it out. And it's that it seems normal because when they look around, all the other people they know are in the same boat and they're all in that same boat together. There's from a biology, no, a chemistry perspective, sorry, not biology, chemistry perspective, if I come in and I've got a container of salt in this hand and I have a container of water in this hand, as long as those containers are separate, they don't mix. But if I come in and I start dumping the water in with the salt is going to literally dissolve into the water. And now I have salt water in this container. I bring a freshwater container over and I pour them into a jar. They don't stay separated, they mix. And what I'm trying to get across is all of those people you said are in the same boat. Let's change boat to container. They're all in the same container. And what they're experiencing is going to be similar because they're all in a close proximity to each other. So it's that same kind of principle. They're going to absorb from their friends the way they should act. They're going to absorb from their friends' mindsets. They're going to absorb from their friends the kind of words that they use and the phrases that they say. And all of those pieces that they're absorbing from their friends and business associates create normal in their mind. But if all of a sudden we took one of those business owners, pulled them out, and dropped them in a different container, and that container is business owners who only work on their business, they'd be so uncomfortable. But then really quickly, they'll start absorbing, oh, you're right, I shouldn't be doing that. Oh,
If
wow. I never
if they
thought of
don't
it
find
that
it so
way.
uncomfortable, they just jump right back in the other container,
Right?
because that definitely happens.
I had a good friend and he did that very thing where he was in one container and he went and he joined this group and he said he could barely afford it, but it was for the people. He said it was for rich businessmen who wanted to experience more in life. And he's just this little fish. He describes himself as this little fish in a little pond, and he got in just because he had the right friend. And he started associating with these people, and they said it changed his life. He doesn't view anything the same after spending a year hanging out with these business people, because all of them were playing the game differently than how he'd been used to. And same for every business owner. If you want someone that has done like Brett has 20 million business that runs without him, you should hang out with someone like Brett. Don't go hanging out at the bar if you're tired of being a drunk.
Well, and that's one of the things that I've struggled with for a long time. Is I knew from the very beginning that I wanted a mentor, but I
Mm,
could never, for whatever reason, I was never able to find um, the a mentor in the way that I was imagining. I would have a mentor that would help lead me and guide me to have the right mindsets, to make better decisions. And so I had to struggle a lot on my own. But I did eventually learn that you can buy mentors. They're called
mm,
coaches,
yeah.
and some of the fastest, most powerful growth that I've experienced has been while having a business coach. And I've had several different ones myself. And as I at first I was like, I don't need a coach. That's stupid. But I had to get over that mindset myself. Um, and learn that. And then, now as I look at it, I realize like the top performers in any field, whether it's politics, athletics, like science, business, it doesn't matter. They all have coaches. Every single one. I mean, like when you look at an NFL team, I think there's as many coaches as there are players. Like
Yep.
like they have sleep coaches, they have diet coaches, they have everything. And it's like, and the top performing teams have the best coaches. They probably have the most coaches. And so um, as I look at this now, if I could send a letter back to myself, it would be, uh, don't discount coaches. Like use a coach to go where you want to go faster. Like if I was, unless I was wanted to be like Lewis and Clark and just explore the complete unknown. When I want to go somewhere and I want to get there quickly, I'm gonna find someone who's been there before to at least give me directions, if not take me there themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure Lewis and Clark would have been very happy if they could have just had a guide that would have said, "We're gonna go here, 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 here," and then you're going to be disappointed because you're gonna find out it isn't gonna be the way you think it is. There is no waterway all the way across America. Give up now. Right? It would have changed all of history if they'd had a guide that could have told them that and saved them all the trouble that they went through, but they didn't have one. Fortunately, all the business owners out there don't have to be Lewis and Clark. They literally could go out and find somebody, bring somebody in. And the fact that you're listening to this right now tells me that that is where you're at. You're like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to try and figure it all out on my own. I'm going to go out. I'm going to find other information. I'm going to gather in and start taking these nuggets from other people. And so good on you for listening.
Yeah. Well, and but one of the warnings though is when you just go out and get random information. Um, we've been developing the sequence and really looking and evaluating what is the proper sequence that business owners have to go through, because there's so much advice out there about what you should or shouldn't do. But if your business isn't at a stage where that advice matters, it can do more harm than good.
Yeah. 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 If you would spend all your time building a personal brand, you probably wouldn't have gotten a $20 million company as quickly.
Well, right. Or if I had focused on doing online sales, or having a really fancy website. I mean, that none of that was necessary for the businesses that I was in.
Yep.
And whereas for someone else at a different stage, that advice that you have to have a great website could have been critical, but for me it wasn't. And
Hmm.
so it's not only it's knowing what business you're in and what stage you're at to know what advice truly is important. And as as much as I've learned from the online gurus, um, they're there's still nothing quite like having somebody with boots on the ground and who's right there in the trenches with you, looking at your specific situation, um, to help you get where you want to go faster. And again, that I think that's the critical thing. Like if you're happy figuring out on your own and going at whatever pace you can, then and that's what makes you happy, go for it. Like there's nothing saying that you have to, but if you really want to have a big impact and get somewhere faster, I can't recommend more than finding a mentor or a coach, whether you can find someone to kind of do it for fun or whether you pay someone. And just like employees, you may have to go through several different coaches until you find one that clicks. But if you're not willing to take that risk and go through that effort, then you'll never reap the reward or the benefit from having that. And
Absolutely.
that is one of the things. Like going back to the if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. You don't. In fact, if you want it done right, I will define right as you want a business that gives you real freedom. You can't do it yourself. In fact, that's the exact opposite mentality that you need to have if you truly want to create a level of freedom for yourself to be able to have an even greater impact and do the things that you truly want to do so that you're not stuck in a cage.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing things yourself means that you're giving away the only real asset that you have, and that asset is your time.
Well, yeah, I mean, in great part. Yeah. So you've got, I mean, your time, your effort, your energy, your focus more than
Mm,
anything.
yeah,
Um, where your attention goes is where you get stuck. And so if you could learn to put your attention on the right things, then you can create greater momentum and greater freedom.
exactly. Yeah, and doing it all yourself, you're chasing fires all day long, you're burning yourself up, you don't have enough time to sleep, you don't have enough time for family, you don't have enough time for hobbies, you don't have enough time for fun, and most of the time you don't have enough money either. Even if you're reaching good levels of scale, either you don't have enough money to enjoy them, or you don't have enough time to enjoy them, or you don't have money or time. That's key indicators that you're in doing business the wrong way for and but the good news is you have that option to switch. So
Right.
that first mindset is stop trying to do it all yourself. Stop trying to put out all the fires, quit trying to do the work. Start with baby steps to find ways that you can offload the littlest things. If you're scared about it, make it so small that it doesn't matter. If they mess up this teeny little thing, it's okay. You can come in, you can solve it. But once you do that, it's going to reaffirm to your brain that, oh, wait, other humans are capable. I'm not the only one.
Well, there were so many times in my early on in my journey where I was able to pass something off to somebody else and check in a week later and find out they're doing it better than I ever did because they're
Hmm.
actually following the process. I find that most of us business owners are our own worst enemies because even when we create a process, we won't necessarily follow it strictly because we'll think that, oh, we could do this a little bit better, and so then we deviate
Hmm.
and change things on the fly without any kind of consistent documentation or consistent process, and we actually create our own. Again, that's part of that cage. We get stuck because, and so finding somebody else to do a task, to do a job, to do a role, to be responsible for a thing. Oftentimes, you'll find out that because that's their one thing they have to worry about, they're gonna get way better at it than you ever could,
Absolutely.
and you got to be okay with that. Like that's the other thing is like you don't have to be the best at everything. In fact, if you're the smartest person in the room, the saying goes, you're in the wrong room.
When it comes to in your job, when it comes to hanging out with people that are going to inspire you, then you want to be the dumbest.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But if you're the smartest one in your business, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, surround yourself with people that have skills that you don't, that are better than you,
that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
friends, mentors, employees. Like don't feel like you've got to be the ultimate authority on everything. If you can't learn to trust, you'll never break out of your cage.
there we go. Yep, 100%. I love that idea. Learn to trust.
And on that path of learning to trust, you will be disappointed. Like that's just a given. But you've got to keep going. You've got to keep learning. how to attract that right type of person to you that you can trust, it is reliable. And then once you have them, you do everything you can to keep them around. um, and figure out how you can work together so that their vision becomes your vision, or at least
Yeah,
has a place inside your vision, so that them achieving their vision is you achieving your vision. Like you, when you can link that up, then you have that freedom of scale, because then you're no longer the one person that has to be responsible for everything. You can truly have other people be responsible for various things and step out of being in your business all the time in that day-to-day grind, to where you can focus on your business at the big picture. And if you're not the type of personality, because some business owners really aren't, that has that mentality of being able to look at the big picture and work on the business because you just love sales, or you just love engineering, or deliver, like whatever aspect of your business, then let somebody else do it. Just because you're the owner doesn't mean you have to be the CEO.
absolutely. I think that's a great place to end. If you don't have to be the CEO to be the owner. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in again next week, same time, and we'll share some more nuggets.
Thanks.